Well, the neutrals had all forgotten about Liam Millar, but he is so back. Joe says, Liam Millar, you beautiful man. Welcome back to our Tigers Walk. Hope you're well after this international break. It's 20 minutes of Hull City chat, and we're recording this directly after beating and bruising Birmingham City. How are you all doing? Yeah, we're talking about Liam Millar's back-to-back wins for the first time in countless games. We're also chatting, of course, about our A to Z list as we count down the letter C. Here is what... here's what AI said for the letter C. A good shout or not? We'll get your view on that in a second. Our panel are back. Ben and Matty are back, and fresh back from going to St Andrews himself is Elliot. We'll hopefully get hit by all the coins and all the stuff being rained down on the away fans. Elliot, we'll check in with you on that in a second. But Ben, Liam Millar's back.
Yeah, it seems so. I thought he was fantastic when he came on. I think it's cliche when you say it's like a new sign and a player coming back from injury, but it almost is. He's just such a breath of fresh air because the way we play, we've been speaking about this previously, that we do like to have less of the ball and then spring the counter attacks as quick as possible. And with someone like Millar on the wing, with the pace he has, the ability that he has, the talent he has, it's almost like the perfect recipe for potential goals. And obviously we've got good players up top now to hopefully provide them. So yeah, I think it's all looking good. But I don't want to speak too soon.
Canucks supposed to Liam Millar on the assist. The ringer returns to supply an assist and a winner finding open net goal and an amazing run into the box. And there's loads of positives we can pick out from this game, Matty. But who stood out for you?
Well, I think we've mentioned him in the last couple of weeks. I think Regan Slater definitely needs a massive mention. I think since he's come back into the team, since he came in that second half against Preston, he has really cemented that place in the centre of midfield, and he's given us the energy that we kind of needed in that midfield. I think Amir, whatever he's called, second name, is still adapting. He's still adapting to the championship, and because we play Geldart yesterday centrally a bit further forward, you kind of only got those two central midfielders. But I thought he was outstanding against Sheffield United. He was all over the place, and yesterday again. And that goal was just an absolute ace header. What a superb header! And we know he's got it in him. It's just that sometimes he don't take those chances when he gets them. He gets into so many good chances and he kind of just fluffs it. So it'd be great if he could add a few more goals to his all round game. But yeah, I thought he was outstanding. Honourable mention. I thought when Crooks came on, Crooks looked a lot better as well in that midfield. Obviously Millar was superb. Akintola just not really on it. He seems to have one good game and then he's struggling a little bit. But yeah, I thought there was a few players that really cemented the places in the team, and it's looking really positive that we have got competition for places now, which is great. So all considering.
Yeah, on the Regan Slater, Kim says he doesn't score many, Elliot, but they are usually cracking goals when he does. Yeah, beautiful header as well. I said, yeah. Right, Elliot, you were there then. What's your take on? Was it a deserved 3 points on the balance of play?
I think in the end, I think we worked hard for it, and we were a lot more clinical than Birmingham were. With us getting that goal early, I think it was important because that first half an hour to 40 minutes, I felt like they had a lot more of the ball and they were threatening to create more chances, and we dealt with a lot of it. I thought Hughes and Egan did really well to deal with a lot of the aerial balls coming in, and for us I think it was really important we got that goal end of the first half just to get in front and go into the break, and despite not having so much of the possession, we were in front, and obviously the little fight at the end, it got a bit tense. So for us to be out on top and then to come out in the second half, I felt we started really brightly. The red card obviously helped, and we did maybe get away with a couple of things, but I also think Birmingham may be a bit lucky not to get a couple of decisions. Like I think their keeper was maybe a bit lucky not to get a sending off, but we kept going and got that third goal, which was important in the end because obviously they scored a penalty. But Yeah, I felt it was one of them games where we'll look back and maybe think that was an important win to maybe get us into the top 10 and to be in a playoff race, hopefully.
Okay. Steady on now. Rich says, Christ, that was mental. Like a game of basketball. But we got away with a couple of questionable decisions for sure. Little sympathy as Birmingham weren't the most likeable bunch, are they? Brilliant 3 points, Slater and Galnado start performances. Yeah, Ben, on the questionable decisions, there's a one which started the flurry from the bench, which we'll come and talk about the fallout of that in a minute. Where I forget the whole player that went through the back of, well, it looked like he went through the back of someone, and then Jay Stansfield goes to the back of him. Joseph, that's it. Yeah. What was your view on that incident?
I mean, initially when you see it, it does look like a rash challenge, but obviously from further viewing of it, when you see different angles, he does actually get the ball. You can understand why a reaction is probably sprung out of that sort of challenge, because it's in the heat of the moment. It looks like a harsh challenge, but it wasn't really. So it's understandable, but I think there were quite a few on the Birmingham side that were involved in that little scuffle that were quite fortunate to not get a booking or get sent off. Jay Stansfield, the challenge that he makes on Joseph afterwards is very borderline. Chris Davies also almost on the pitch when the challenge goes in, so there's got to be some sort of repercussions there, but it doesn't look like anything's really going to happen. I think, as Elliot said, both were very fortunate. Like, we had some decisions that went our way, which probably shouldn't have, but they also had their fair share of dodgy decisions. So it was a bit of like, I think in the end, the result was fair. The decisions went wrong for both sides. But yeah, it was at first view, and it was a tough challenge, but it was a challenge where he won the ball, and they can't really have many complaints after seeing it back, to be honest.
Back-to-back wins, Elliot, now for Hull City. What do you put that down to?
I think just the hard work and just building a bit more consistency. I think the Preston game, obviously, it was 45 minutes poor, and then 45 minutes was really good. And then we sort of seem to have taken that second half into the Sheffield United and the Birmingham games. Not necessarily at our best in terms of quality, I don't think, but we've shown that level of sort of hard work, grit and determination. Obviously, you need a bit of luck as well, like in that Sheffield United game, the penalty save and hitting the post, where on other days it probably goes in. But I think as well, it's been long overdue, because I think there was times last year as well where we did maybe win and draw, and in that game we drew, we were unlucky not to get another win. So it's been coming, but I think we definitely earned that, and hopefully it's something we can build on going into Tuesday and on Saturday, being at home, and two games that it's two tough games against teams in the top 10, but with us being at home, it should be hopefully chance for us to get some more points.
Yeah, been over a year, Matty, since you saw Hull put back-to-back wins. It's crazy, isn't it, for any footballing side to go for a whole year back-to-back wins?
Yeah, and it's the old after the international break as well, isn't it? That we've struggled when we've come back from international duties, whatever. So yeah, it's a weird one for it to go so long back to back, but that's just football. That's just the nature of football, isn't it? So hopefully we'll now go on a winning run of out so many games and unbeaten run. That'll just be the City way, won't it? We'll go on an unbeaten run for like 15 games or something ridiculous like that, and then we'll probably end up losing 10 on the bounce. It's just that's how it just seems to be in terms of that. But like Elliot says, it's just nice to kind of see we've got enough quality there, particularly going forward, that we probably definitely didn't have last season, that can get us into these situations and get us some points, which is great. So long may it continue. Let's like you say, let's look forward to Wembley next year. Yeah.
Let's carry on with the fallout of the match then. So after the game, Ben, we've heard that in his post-match comments, Sergei made claims that he was told to F off by Chris Davis, and he was F off back to Croatia. by members of the Blue security staff. We should say that everybody at Birmingham City has denied these allegations quite strongly and quite quickly, we need to add as well. It's almost an hour after they were made. And Hull have not put in, as far as we know, an official complaint yet. What's your reading on this, Ben?
I think there's obviously got to be a reason why he's not going to come out and say that he's been told by their staff something like that for no reason at all. So there's got to be something to it. I mean, some of the players have said in their post-match interviews, some of the City players heard something said as well from Birmingham to the City side, but we don't know exactly what was said. So it's one of them where I don't think City are going to really do anything about it, because I think it's gone now and they're going to just want to move on from it. But it'll be interesting to see what happens when they visit the MKM in the return fixture, because obviously there's no real fire between either side apart from that now. So it'll make it interesting, but there's got to be some element of truth behind it, because I don't think Sergei doesn't strike me as the type to just make something up like that for the sake of making it up. There's got to be some sort of something like substance behind it.
Yeah, remember many fans are saying Chris Davis probably won't get to that reverse fixture, given how Birmingham have gone on. The other bit, incidentally, we want to ask you about this, whether you saw any of this happening as well. Chris says many supporters reported to City stewards in attendance about being pelted by Birmingham fans from the tier above the away end. Told our stewards was told to stay out of it, but there is going to be a report made. Did you see any of that happening from the away end where you were?
To be fair, when I got there, because it's the first time I've been to St Andrews, and I did look up and I noticed there was Birmingham fans above us, and I was like, well, that's strange, because if obviously something like that could happen. But if I'm being honest, I didn't heard anything about that. I didn't have any experiences around me. I was quite sort of middle to the front, so I could be sort of, if someone did, I could be hit, for example. But I didn't have anything thrown towards me or in my area, so I'm not too sure. I did see. It looked like there was a couple of fans who got kicked out in the home end towards in the stand next to us, but apart from that, I can't say I saw anything thrown down at all, to be honest.
Right. Let us know if you were there in the comments and whether you've seen anything like that. Obviously, we want to keep an eye on it. Of course, and it shouldn't happen in this day and age of football, should either. People throwing coins, goodness. Right then, yes, so we're into another busy period, Matty. Let's have a look at the fixtures. We've got another international break coming up in a couple of weeks, the last one, and then we're on the home straight all the way through to March, which is good. 3 home games: Leicester, Charlton, as you've just hinted at, and then 2 away trips to Norwich and Derby midweek, and then a finish off with Portsmouth. When you look at these games and you look at the position of your opponents, what's the best we can hope for out of these next 15 points?
Well, I think we said, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago, like if we could take 4 points from the next 2 home games, I think that we'd definitely see that as a positive going forward. But looking at, I mean, Norwich and Derby are really are struggling, aren't they, at the moment? They're down towards the bottom, but I don't think we're particularly strong when we go away to Norwich. Historically, we've tended to struggle there. We've got a good record at Derby. Portsmouth are probably around the same level as what we are. So if you can target, I suppose, 9 points from 15, so 3 wins, I think that'll. I think that's realistic in the current form that we're in. That will take us, or maintain our position in the league where we are. I think it's just important for us to kind of kick on now and not that we want to be looking over our shoulders for the rest of the season, but it's a good opportunity while we're in good form to put some points on the board so that we look more comfortable and we can go into these games not having to stress like we did towards the end of last season, thinking we need to pick up points where we're here and there, but we can be a bit more relaxed going into fixtures looking at that. But yeah, again, I think there's no team. I think Coventry. I still can't believe we got a clean sheet against Coventry. But looking at the league, Coventry are looking good. The game on Friday, Middlesbrough and Ipswich was a decent game. I would say them 3 are probably the strongest so far in the league. I wouldn't fear anybody else particularly in the league, and I think we just proved it going to an entitled Birmingham who think they were going to walk the league. That we've gone to their ground and we've turned them over. Teams like Hull can actually turn these teams over. So yeah, thinking positive.
Okay, good shout. We're talking chairman this week because, of course, whilst we've been away on the international break, Sheffield Wednesday have received a winding up order from HMRC, so it's got us talking about football regulation. We believe, Ben, that in a couple of weeks' time we will have a football regulator coming in who will now be able to weed out dodgy chairmen and owners of clubs. In your view, is that long overdue? That sort of power that the UK government can now yield over owners, and where do you stand on your current ownership?
I think it's a very controversial topic in terms of City's ownership. I think obviously if you take out the fact that City are doing well at the minute, the signings we made, the situation that we ended up in was no fault of anyone else bar Atchon, and something, obviously the EFL have done something about that by putting us under a transfer embargo, but something needed to happen to stop it from escalating into a situation like Sheffield Wednesday and point deductions like Sheffield United had and Leicester may end up having, with the amount of spending that we were doing with no real limit. So I think in a way it is probably a good thing that those sort of regulations are being brought in, because it puts a stop to needless spending on players that are from the second division in Turkey that come over and play 10 games, get injured, and then end up either getting their contract cancelled, and then we've shelled out a ton of money on them. So yeah, I think it's probably for the better of a lot of teams that have owners that do tend to just splash the cash without realising that there are, or that there may in the future be, real serious repercussions, because City have had that to an extent, and I think they've had a slap on the wrist, which has now sort of shown Atchon that he does need to stop and limit himself a little bit. So hopefully, yeah, it does have a positive effect on that element of things, because I think it does seem to be like quite a growing problem, like the PSR and stuff like that. A lot of teams, especially in the Premier League, you see Villa and teams like that sell 18-year-old kids for like 40 million just to balance the books. So yeah, I think it probably in the long run will be a positive.
Okay. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Before we get on to A to Z, just an apology for something we got wrong last week, and thank you to Mike Harrison, 1714, for pointing out that Pandur hadn't saved his first penalty in our previous view. He actually saved one in the 2-1 defeat at Coventry 9 months ago, so we're happy to be corrected on that one. Thank you very much, Mike. Last time we did A to Z 2 weeks ago, Boothbury Park almost unanimously entered into our A to Z of Hull City at the letter B. This week, of course, we're on to letter C when we asked AI. Yeah, not a bad shout, I thought, this one.
Decent,
Elliot, would you be happy with that? Let's see if the panel or you at home can beat it in the comments, please. We're looking for a player or anything beginning with letter C that should represent Hull City's illustrious history. Elliot, you get first dibs this week.
Chester's a good shout. I did come to my mind when I was thinking about it, but I'll go with Chris Chilton, just with him being the overall top scorer of the club, and he has a stand named after him at the MKM. So I'll go with that. That was just one of the first ones that came to my mind.
Okay, all right. Matty, can we beat that?
You stole my thunder, haven't you, Elliot? There, so I'm gonna have to go with Chris Chilton, because he is Hull City's record goal scorer, 222 goals. He is before my era, before anybody says anything. So he was well before my era. Is my dad's era, but all I can say is that he is still talked about around the club. Him and Ken Wagstaff with the strike force that we had back in the 60s and 70s. He is a club legend, so it would have to be Chris Chilton for me. But James Chester is a very good shout, because he was actually superb when we had him throughout the Premier League and Championship when we got him. That is a good shout, but yeah, Chilton for me.
Okay, Ben.
I think obviously Chris Chilton's a no-brainer, isn't he? I think an honourable mention could go to someone like Louis Coyle. I know he's not been the most consistent recently, but he's been the club captain for, is it 4 or 5 years now since he came in. Led us to League One, the title there in COVID season, and he's been a constant present in most starting sides. So I think obviously Chris Chilton is going to win the vote. I think it's an absolute given, but someone like Louis Coyle has been, he's from the area, his family's from the area. It's one of them where I think his name does deserve to be thrown in the ring, but James Chester is also very good, a good shout as well.
All right, then, a little bit an easier one then for us this week. Then we go on to D next week, and of course we'll be back next week to look back at the 2 games which we've had. In terms of Leicester, Elliot, do you fancy your chances against them? They haven't kicked into gear just yet.
Yeah, it's sort of been a theme with Leicester, I think, so far, is they are up there, but they haven't really got going, and they're drawing a lot of games, so it's sort of one of them where it might be typical that they're clicking scare against us. But I think with us being at the last time, I know it doesn't really mean anything, but when the last time Leicester in the Championship, we were unbeaten against them when they won the league. So, I think we can, on our day, we could certainly challenge them, but it's one of them where with the good recent run of form we've had, there's no reason why we can't. But if we didn't, then it's like, we can dust ourselves down and look more towards Charlton as well, which will be a tough game, with them being sort of level on points with us as well. But yeah, it's I'd take a point against Leicester, I think.
Good stuff. Get ready for the Nathan Jones knee slide at the weekend.
Not that idiot. God.
Right. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for getting us to 400. That was amazing over the last video. That's absolutely smashing it. We're heading on to 500 now. So if you're just joining us and have just found us, please hit that subscribe button. They'll be absolutely massive. Right, you guys, enjoy your 2 home games this week. We'll see you back in 7 days' time to review both of them. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great week, everyone.